You're listening to Jerry Works Live Worldwide Podcast.
All right, all right. I should have waited for the claps. Anyway, Jerry always get me with that. All right, this is live with a late night with Dr. Tranell, and we are on. And as you can tell, we've been advertising this for the last week. We had a hot subject last week, and we were on with a few Christian gospel rap artists, and we had a panel discussion. And we talked a lot about some of the influence of hip hop in the industry today, but tonight we got a good discussion. We're talking about pushing the boundaries, women influence, and the gospel music industry. And you know, when we talk about the gospel music industry, we're going to be touching a little bit on the whole music industry, because the gospel music industry only makes up that 2%. Y'all hear me talk about that all the time. So this is the best, the best ladies that I can pull from that could really be a part of this panel and really can give you the real of what's going on in the gospel music industry, because I think the independent artists really get a feel for what's really going on and really get hit with the stuff that mainstream don't get hit with. So that it is what it is. And we also got ladies on here that are very involved in the church. You know, they have positions in the church, and we want to talk about those positions and how they connect with the music industry and what they're doing in their ministries. All right. So we're going to get right into it, because we got an hour and we got a good topic, and y'all may or may not hear some music tonight. So it is what it is. All right. Ladies, I'm going to give y'all a second to just introduce yourselves. I know that, you know, if everybody's seen the flyer, they've seen who was going to be on here, but those on Speaker Radio did not see the flyer. So I want you guys to introduce yourselves and show us who was on the panel today. Talk a little bit about you, briefly, your ministry, how long you've been in the industry. And we can start with Miss Ree.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, Ree.
Hi.
Hey.
My name is Ree, and I just actually came out as an independent artist last year. Really had my album come out in I think my singles kind of probably came out in like March or April or something like that. But actually being in the industry, even you know, as a background vocalist and songwriter and all of that stuff, especially the gospel music industry, doing that has been since when did I say, you know, we were just talking about this the other day.
Yeah. It's been like 20 years, something like that.
But that's, you know, well, as far as music, it's been about 20 something years in the gospel music industry. I think I really started coming out, you know, background vocalist and learning the business of it. That had to be in about that was about 2003-ish, 2004-ish is when I really, you know, came out with that. So a lot of that time serving, and I'll just be brief because I know we have a lot of time to talk, but a lot of that time serving, and I think Miss Sean Ray with this, also Miss Natasha, a lot of that time serving and being in the background and watching people and watching them start from the beginning, you know, conception until the release, until they make it, and seeing that, it taught me a lot, so that my road is not so hard, because I saw what not to do and I saw what to do. I saw what works and what doesn't work, how to treat people, how not to treat people. I learned business. I learned how to be burnt by business, and then I learned how to make some good decisions. So, yeah, that's me. I'm a worship leader at Abundant Life Ministries as well. I'm also a minister as well. So that comes out in my music. And so I hear some people say you can't be, you know, you're an artist, so you can't be a worship leader. Yes, you can. You know, it's balance, and everything has its lane. You know what I mean? And God allows for us to be all things to all men. So that's the beautiful thing about being multifaceted with these different gifts. So that's me. My album is Your Instrument, and I've been just rocking with that for a good amount of time, and thank God. And have met these beautiful ladies, so it's not like we're just on a panel. We've never seen each other. we also have a relationship as well. So that's me.
All right, let's go to Miss Natasha.
Hi, how are you? God bless.
God bless.
Yes, my name is Natasha Cherry like the fruit. And I am a senior pastor of a church, little church called Liberty Worship Center in the town of Emmaus. But I've been a pastor almost 4 years, but I've been singing for over 40.
Amen.
My mother put me on stage at 3 years old. I didn't even have a choice whether was I gonna sing? No, it was just what it was.
Yeah.
Since then, starting and stopping, raising my child, Apollo at 10, like I got a whole resume that like it's just so old and but it's been quite the challenge to maintain trying to help facilitate the growth of the church while also trying to facilitate my own career. I am an independent artist, and I have a single out and a full album, They That Wait, and then a new single that came out called Yes. And it's been an interesting journey. Oh gosh. But I'm blessed, and mother and all that stuff that just goes with that. Not easy, but I'm grateful, and I am planning on completing this journey at the end of the day. I am quite certain of it.
Right.
So that's all I have to say.
Amen. All right, Miss Sean Ray Price. I'm gonna pause 1 second and ask if everybody kind of mute their backgrounds, because I can't mute your background, so it's something going on, maybe a TV or something. If y'all can just mute that, okay. All right, Miss Sean Ray, let's go with you.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Sean Ray Price, and I am honored to be here tonight with my fellow awesome ladies, Miss Ree and Mrs. Miss Cherry. I'm gonna call her Cherry. And
Cherry like the fruit, yeah.
Cherry like the fruit, and of course, one and only Miss Trinell.
Amen.
I'm so honored to be here, and I've been singing my entire life. A lot of y'all know my history, my background, but like Dr. Cherry, I didn't have a choice. Anybody that knows my mother, Claude, she started us singing from the womb. We came out, and that was it. We was automatically the choir.
Yeah.
I say we because I'm talking about my sisters as well as myself. So we were automatically the choir. My grandfather is Bishop Jerome Norman from the Church of God in Christ, and he's 92 years old, and he's still pastoring.
Wow.
So, and I come from an era where Church of God in Christ, anyone that's familiar with Kojic, the choirs used to be sat down if they weren't right. So whenever the choir got sat down at my grandfather's church, it would be Claudia, Kelly, and Cherie who had to sing. I had been singing my entire life. The Lord blessed me at a certain age to meet a couple of secular artists, and then I started singing with some secular artists such as George Michael, Mariah Carey. But even before that, my childhood, my foundation is rich. I have blessed to have a rich legacy when it comes to gospel music. I have sang with some of the greatest growing up: Timothy Wright, Donnie McClurkin, Benny Cummins, the Clark sisters, Mama Clark, who's passed now, and the list goes on. James Hall. I grew up with so many different wonderful people. J.J. Howard. So many different people. Lillian from Ricky Dillard, the one who sang it to Stellas, If You Got It, broke with her. I mean, I'm blessed to have a rich foundation. And then the Lord expanded my territory and moved into singing with secular artists, such as, again, Mariah Carey, George Michael, P. Diddy, and everybody else. But in the midst of all of that, y'all heard my testimony. Oh yeah. Oh, we went on tour with him and everything. And I can't say nothing too much about that. But it was a blessing. And when I say people who are listening, when I say the Lord will use you, the Lord will use you in any area. Any area. When I say souls are saved, in any area, The Lord will save people in the middle of a secular concert.
Oh, yeah.
So all of this happened, and then the Lord put a pause on my career. But I've always kept ministering and working, minister music of different churches. The last church that I was musical director at was Living Faith Tabernacle here in Atlanta, Georgia for 13 years. And then the Lord said, that's it. He pulled me out. My kids are grown. I have 3 of them. I got 3 grown folks. The Lord said, that's it. You did what I told you to do. You raised them grown folks. You and your husband, now it's your time. And you're going to do what I ordained you and chose you to do. And that's minister to the people. My album is a long time coming. The singles on there, yes, it's a long time coming, which dropped January 20th. And we're working on that right now. We're introducing that to the world. No Boundaries is one of my singles. Just Listening is another one. Long time coming is the actual the title of the album and the song on there. It's a whole lot of stuff that's going on, and to God be the glory. To God be the glory.
Amen.
Amen, sister. Now you got a lot in there. See, look, she got the album in there.
That's plug, yes.
That's how you do it.
Yes.
Amen. God bless you on your project, and we supporting you and know we've been following you. So we definitely love what God is doing in your ministry and in your life in general. So it's really a blessing. But we're gonna go ahead and get into what we came in here to get into to talk about. All right. So I'm gonna just start. And I'm gonna ask you a few questions, and I'm not gonna pick anybody. You guys just give me the little finger and let me know who wants to go first. And y'all go ahead and talk, all right? So we're just gonna have an open discussion, all right? So, Bonnie Marcus, a contributor at the Forbes magazine, she wrote an article, and it was labeling the music industry as the men's club. All right. So, her belief is that artists, going by some of the research that she's done, finding out that it's only 20% of females in the full music industry. Now that's not just gospel artists. That's not just artists. That is producers, managers, all the whole thing that makes up the music industry. Okay. And so she believes that we'll always and have always get the short end of the stick. What do you guys think about that as it relates to the gospel music industry?
Yes, I totally agree with that. And even let me just say this: I noticed in terms of even the bigger major gospel artists, I tend to understand it seems to be more men than there are women. And I don't know whether I noticed it myself, like the major, you think about, you have Marvin Sapp and you have Donnie McClurkin and you have like Yolanda Adams phasing out and you have like Tamela Mann and Tasha Cobb, but you have like a whole bunch more men. And it is almost like as if I kind of feel like the church actually pushes the men further. And when I talk to management, part of the reason when I talk to a gentleman that manages an up-and-coming male artist, I said, well, why don't you have a woman on your roster? You know what he told me? Because women have children and husbands. Mm-hmm. So just artistry alone, we're not even being put on the forefront in terms of, managers taking us on. And so shall we not even mention the executives? You know what I'm saying? So I totally agree. Everything is tilted toward the male. In ministry, it's tilted toward the male.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It is.
I'm gonna ask one thing of you guys. If you're not speaking, can we go ahead and put it on mute? Do you guys know how to put that on mute? If you're not speaking, just put it on mute. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So, anybody else got some feedback on that particular question, on that research? Go ahead, Sean Ray.
Okay. To elaborate on it, it does appear like it's more male dominated. And you're absolutely right, Dr. Cherry. the response, yes, even in corporate America, um, it's more men. It seems like it's more men dominated because those of us that do have husbands and children, they know that a lot of times that is our first obligation. A lot of times it really is. But there are a lot of females again that you're right. I just want to say they go on and they push the men. We're out there, but the men does seem like they can push more. But what I'm noticing now is that there is a shift that is going on in this industry where we as women, we really are coming up. And because it's a different day and time now, it is being noticed, and it's no doubt about it. We can multitask. We can do it all. We literally can do it all. We can have the family, we can have the children, the spouses, and we can travel, and we can make it. It's a little easier for us to bring our families with us with a nanny. And so it is shifting. It may seem like it's male dominated, but I see a shift that is going on.
Yeah. Well, and then this in a sense, we're talking about in years past getting to this point as well. So we have had the industry where it's male dominated, but you do see more females stepping up and coming into that role. But overall, it's been male dominated in a lot of the industries, and so that's a lot of what we'll touch on tonight. Because the female role seems so small, but it's really huge, and this is our chance to talk about those things and actually bring some light to it. All right. Ree, you got something on that?
No, I don't have much on it. I mean, I do, the little bit that I could share, I do notice going out with it. It does seem to be sort of a men's club. I notice a difference in how some of the men choose to communicate with female artists, as if they're doing us a little favor.
Yeah.
And whereas with the men, maybe talking to another man, it's that male privilege. I come from a domestic violence advocacy background, so we pay attention to male privilege. We pay attention to women empowerment and different things like that. And then on top of that, I'm a strong woman, and so with those things, I do notice the tone of the conversation at times as if talking to a female, it is a certain type of approach, whereas you have to stand with your chest out a little bit more to show, I don't take no stuff. Maybe you have to, I've seen where my manager, is a female that's with me, but they'll go to my husband.
Hey.
Right.
They'll go to my husband to have a conversation about even me, where they'll bypass me. So I see that as well, where we have to go back and be like, hello, and get that. So I do notice that a little bit, but I do also notice that I believe the shift comes, with us. Just first of all, if you're going to be in this business, and we already know maybe some of the stereotypes that could be out there, then to study and do your homework. And if you're a female that's coming into this business, then don't be so lenient, meaning don't just, everything is not a favor, and don't take all of them. Come in and know what you have to do. Know your stuff. Have what you need behind you and around you. And I believe that's the best way that we can balance that out by our knowledge, by our education, and in the way of even that private communication. I just think as both these ladies have shared, it definitely, you see it, but it also extends beyond music as well. And it's just getting it to where, just across the line, we're respected for the gift that we represent, whether it's male or female, that we're respected for the gift that we represent.
Amen. So that kind of touched on the next question, where I was asking, was it different for women in the gospel music industry? I don't think that it is. the women that are in the secular industry are still dealing with the same stereotypes and things that women in the gospel music industry have to deal with. The difference is we're supposed to be handling it differently, supposed to be going into it differently. We're going to talk a little bit about, I'm going to jump a little bit and talk about sexism. Is it still a problem in the gospel music industry? Go ahead. Go ahead.
You
Sharon.
say it.
Yes, of course. Of course. And we see exactly what's happening now all over the news with a lot of different things, these different favors that had to take place or was forced upon people in order to advance your career or advance whatever. And unfortunately, I don't want to say unfortunately, but I have been blessed to be able to be on both sides of the spectrum, both secular and as well as gospel. And now I can say unfortunately, it's about the same on both ends of the spectrum. But as restated, we take a stance. And as we take a stance on that, I'm not saying that we're not going to experience that, but a lot of it will be cut down. Section will be cut down if we don't play certain games, and if we come in meaning business, and we demand that respect.
That's right.
And we demand that respect. And like I said, it is, again, I've seen it on both ends of the spectrum. I'm unfortunately more so on the gospel side than on the secular.
Yes,
Real talk.
Mhm.
that's real. That's real. Because even in the short time and being or seeing what's happening in the gospel music industry, not just watching it from the outside or watching it on TV, and hearing from people, you hear these same stories that you're like, hold up, what? Are we in the gospel music industry or are we in the secular? It's hard to tell because those lines are crossed so often. And it's not like it's okay for secular, but it's just there's an expectation when it comes to gospel music and
right.
gospel artists. Do one of you other ladies have anything to say on that?
I just honestly believe that, when Jesus walked the earth, and I'm not trying to take a sermon here, but and I but I gotta say it, he allowed Mary Magdalene to roll with him and the disciples, the other disciples, the male disciples, right? Women were the first at the cross, and women were always there. He came to, I definitely believe, equalize a lot of things that men are refusing to allow to become equal.
Yeah.
This is what I believe. And it's gospel, it's the church, it runs the same. It is absolutely an insult. I was at a platform service, one of 7 women, and I felt the pastor felt like he was doing us a favor, like give the girls a chance.
Right.
I preach every Sunday.
Yeah.
So I do. And do I take it personally? No. Because I understand there is this thread of ignorance. There is this thread of this men's club. It is this thread. There are people still not interpreting the Bible correctly. They're still stuck on when Paul, So when you have all these things, and then in terms of going into business now, the music business. Well, if they're looking at women as second-class citizens on preaching and every other thing that God said he'll pour out his spirit on his sons and his daughters. Well, of course it would be music business. Of course things will be tried, with or try with me that they may not try with the male. So, absolutely. And I don't know whether it will ever go, as long as the enemy is the prince of this earth, I don't know whether it will ever really just disappear. Yeah. I believe that soldiers like us, because we got to be soldiers as women in this gospel, in this body of Christ. Us soldiers just got to keep fighting the fight.
Yeah.
Right. And you know what? You bring up a good point. And I know you say you're not trying to preach, but listen, when we get to I'm thinking of two different women. I'm thinking of the one who was caught in the act of adultery, and I'm thinking of everybody trying to come after her, and
Right.
all these men, you know,
Right.
that was coming around trying to come after her. We're not going after the guy, you know, but we got the woman here.
But the woman,
And,
of course.
yeah, and everybody's trying to come after her. And Christ, you know, had to stand up and address the men and say, "Hey, check that." I'm thinking of another one, the woman with the alabaster box, you
Right.
know, and how you know they were sitting around and, oh, who's this, and questioning, you know, when and Christ had to once again say, "Hey, check that." So we're looking at, you know, from the beginning of time, you know, where these things have happened. Could have happened in the garden where that authority and all that was put in place, but because of the disruption of harmony and unity, now we have these levels. But with these levels comes the mess of mindset, comes the, like, if men excuse me, if men were doing it the way that God intended, then they're following after God's authority, and then we're following after what is given in that sense. But the other side to that, because we have spirit and then we have flesh, the other side to that is machoism, and it's the dominance, the male dominance, it's the male privilege. Oh, I'm here because I deserve to be, and you know, I'll let you in, you know, but it's, you know, you owe me, or you should be grateful, or, you know, just those different things. I just feel it's a perversion of the order that God established. And as you said, maybe until the end of time, we will have that, because unity was disrupted from the beginning. There wasn't any of that mess where
Right.
woman was, when he said he said, "I call you woman." This was something that was beautiful and treasured. You come from me, you know, and we are in unity and harmony together and just enjoying all these wonderful things, until here comes mess, the serpent, with some foolishness. I believe that, as in going with what you say, I believe we just gonna always deal with that. So how do we deal with it? We check it.
Yeah.
We come,
Right.
come with our business.
Yes.
You
Yes.
stand firm, and you don't back down. You ain't gotta act like a man, but you do walk into it knowing what you're dealing with. And maybe you may be a gentle soul naturally, but when you step out into them shoes, into this big arena, check gentle soul at the door, and put on the armor of God and walk in there just like your brother and sister.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Business.
Go ahead, Sean.
Can you imagine? And I'm glad that we brought up biblical. Can you imagine Deborah from the Old Testament in the Bible? She was the leader of the Israelites back then. Can you? And at that time, where women really were almost dehumanized. Can you imagine what she went through? Then I think about Shirley Caesar and Darcy Norwood, who paved the way for us.
Yeah.
I think about the things that they went through you know what I'm saying, within out the gospel realm back then, and they're still standing today. The things that they may never talk about.
Right.
But can you imagine what they went through? And I thank God for them, because they paved the way. They helped open doors for us as women. Juanita Bynums and the different Joyce Meyer and different people. Can you imagine what they may experience during this topic of sexism? But you know what? God always, I don't care what happens, the Lord always makes a way out of no way for us, and gives us a platform that He wants us to have. So souls really can be saved and touched and delivered and healed.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Amen. Absolutely. And you talked about a little bit the Shirley Caesars and the women that came before you guys. Now you guys are in position to minister and to lead the next generation that's coming after you guys. So how do you feel about them coming up in the industry where you know what you have to deal with, what they have to deal with, all the things you guys just touched on? What are your thoughts about the girls coming up? Because one of the things that is becoming popular is Christian hip hop. Mm-hmm. And you got a lot more females that's coming up into the Christian hip hop. And it's always said, or it's been said, that it's a very thin line between secular and gospel. Mm-hmm. So some of the the kids coming up may feel like I got to look like that or I got to sound like that in order to be successful, even if it's in the gospel music industry. And that's because of the stereotypes and stuff that they're faced with. So what are you saying to those girls that are coming up that's saying, forget all that talk y'all talking. I just want to do what y'all doing. I want to get out there and do it. Show me how to win.
Who want to take that? Can I talk? First and foremost, if anybody ever tried to say forget about all that stuff that y'all talking, I'm gonna say this. Number one, especially if you're coming into the gospel music arena, this ain't an image thing. This ain't a brand thing. This ain't a got my hit song. This ain't I'm making it to the top type thing. This is real life. So if real life puts you in this lane, then you are not acting, you're being who God has called for you to be. And so that is how you will sustain. So many people, try to get the blueprint of it. They try to get these different things and map, okay, so this is what I'm going to do in this strategy. And strategy is good if it's your lane. But if it's not your lane, you're going to have a hard time. And so my biggest thing is to know what God has called for you to do.
Yes.
And once you know, he will direct your path. It said, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not into your own understanding, including looking at statistics of how it looks in the industry. And the question, going towards how, looking at the young women coming behind me. Honestly, I don't even, and I know that this is what this platform is for, but I don't separate young women, young men, young nothing. I look at it as lane. And if you are called to be in this lane, then these are the things that you want. First of all, you got to know who you are, because if you don't, then let's say you go into a male dominated industry, and I'm talking about men and women. Let's say you go into a male dominated industry. You can easily be shaped and molded to something that is not what God has called for you to be. Young men, I've heard stories of young men coming into this industry, young men who may not have their daddy in the picture, and may be looking for a strong example, or maybe a daddy figure. And you run into somebody in the industry who say they're gonna take you in. Yeah. And it's something that it should not be. And
Right.
getting into these things that should not be. So I encourage everybody to, first and foremost, before you decide to walk and go forward, God sent, Christ sent the disciples out. He didn't send them out by themselves. So if you were walking out into this thing and thinking you just gonna go and see who you run into, you're gonna run into some problems, because you don't have somebody in your ear who knew you before to come up, or who knew you before you got out there. You need to make sure that something is established and you have a partner, and that you've been studying, it says study to show yourself approved. You've been doing what you need to do so that when you go, you're not going to be messed up by all this foolishness that comes. And some things may come at you, but you also seek wise counsel. And that's some of what you're hearing right now. So anybody who says, if I know this is fictitious, but if there's anybody say bump what they say, I'm going to be like, you stupid. Stupid. And you're going to get hurt. So you need to listen. Listen to your elders and eat your Wheaties.
Right.
Go ahead,
Listening is an issue for most people now anyway.
Yeah.
And you can agree, listening is an issue. I've encountered so many younger women sometimes, and I've encountered this, that I'm not even sure whether they're singing gospel, but I'm not even sure whether they're really saved. And I'm not being funny.
No.
They sing it because it's their culture, it's what they know. It's what they do, it's what they were taught to do. So first of all, you always want to just make sure young people coming behind you, that to encourage them to have relationship with God. Therefore, the pettiness and the competition and all the stuff that comes on that lower level and then that higher level, God will overshadow that. Yeah. So you struggle with the basic, don't want you to outsing me, don't want you to be better than me. You're struggling with that anyway with young people. Yeah. And then you have people who are gifted discerners, right? And they can say something to young people. I believe that the gift of discernment is wasted on the youth at this point. And I do, because they don't listen.
Yeah.
they don't know. So, I mean, it's just hard sometimes to, seek ye the kingdom of God. I'm piggybacking off of what Rhea is saying. Get saved and get a relationship first. I think that is one of the biggest issues I have with gospel artists today. I'm sorry about that. Is you don't really feel that they're authentically saved.
Yeah, I see that.
And they're leading, and the young people are following.
Yes.
Listen, I clean the bathroom for the kingdom. It's what I have to do.
Yeah.
And sometimes I preach, and sometimes I sing, and I'll sweep outside because it's all kingdom related.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So our young people, I think, are not. I don't think maybe middle age. I don't know. I don't know whether I want to call myself middle age. I don't know. But I'm a little bit on the mature side, right? They want to be seen. They want to be visible.
That's true.
They want people applauding them. They want to get pat on the back. They want views. They want likes.
Yeah.
They have to first understand this is lifestyle. You can't sing the gospel and be effective if you are not practicing and living the gospel.
That's right.
So we got to start with the basic stuff there. I don't care how long you stay in church. Every person that walks in a hospital is not a doctor.
Yeah.
So I think we just got to be more mindful to really teach the younger people, women, to really live a life for Christ. That's first and foremost.
Yeah.
Amen. Go ahead, Miss Sean Ray.
Okay. This is going to be, of course, I'm going to reiterate some of the things that Rhea and Prophet Pastor Cherry said.
Yes.
Prophet Pastor Cherry, yes. So I'm going to bring it a little bit from this perspective.
One out a little bit.
I encourage a lot of this because it's easy to get up and have a platform in the church, whether you're preaching or you're singing or you're teaching.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of times for smaller churches, it's because of the need. So you're going to grow up your musicians, you're going to grow up your singers, you're going to do all of this. And
I know what she's saying is good too.
Yeah.
Yes, I know. That's why the enemy's doing that.
Okay, there we go.
Okay.
The word of God is always there, and he that hath an ear, let them hear.
Yes.
But this generation, and even let's go back to our generation, Prophet Pastor Cherry, because all of us. I'm a little bit older than you, Pastor Cherry, but even from we can remember some of our peers when they didn't listen, and then we see how their life turned out. I'm gonna do this, and then I'm gonna fix that. I hope that's better. Is that better?
That's good.
Okay. All right. So, the church makes it really easy to groom superstars.
I know. Yes.
And because our type of church will use whosoever will let them come, we'll use them. A lot of times, these musicians, singers, preachers, whatever, they have arrived too early.
Yes.
And therefore, we can bring wisdom to them, like you said, and they may not listen right away, but it's to come back to them a little bit later on in life, through whatever hard knocks that they go through. So, with me being a singer and a minister as well, I'm a minister as well, and I also do a lot of teaching and trainings and vocal training. So, when a lot of people come to me and they want vocal lessons from me, from the church or not from the church, and they want me to tell them that they're ready, I tell them the truth. Now, I always tell them you can do what you want to do, but I'm letting you know you need some more foundation. And then especially in the church. I experience a lot of young people that come to me, and I ask them, before I even get started, I'm not discouraging you from singing, but I ask them, what do you want to do exactly in the church? What is it that you want to do? Okay, and what do you want to, is your goal as a gospel artist? What is your goal? And I tell them, listen, if it's not about kingdom business,
That's right.
if it's not about expanding the kingdom of God, what I suggest to you is to go to the Apollo. Go to the Voice. Create your own plan and go build your audience. Because it is a difference between entertainment and ministry.
Right. That's right.
And I always tell them, I want you to choose. Are you an entertainer or are you a minister? Because ministry is something completely different from entertainment.
Yes.
And so you're not going to get what you're looking for if you're trying to come in and entertain in the gospel or the Christian field. So I strongly suggest that you go and do another platform. But ministry, and I tell them, it's either holiness or hell. You can't get up there because singing as an artist, you're still a minister. You're still a minister.
Yes.
So you better know on this battlefield, you better know what you're getting into. Because I'm telling you, this is a warfare. This is a spiritual warfare. And you have to be equipped enough to handle what's going to happen as a minister, a psalmist. So if you're not willing to lay certain things down in your life and to set yourself aside as a minister, then I'm telling you, I'm encouraging you, go and audition for the Apollo. That's what you should do.
Right. Love it. I love it.
Off the stage. Those people gonna be laughed off the stage because you not right. No, I love it. We have to be honest. We have to be honest with people when they're going for it, because that's the problem. There's not enough people being honest and people stepping out before their time, quote unquote, before God grooms them and gets them prepared. Right. It's not just about the voice; it's about the ministry. So, just because you can say no mean you're ready.
That's right.
So that's very important. I'm glad that you can step out and do that. We got to be more on guard or more willing to do stuff like that. All right. So, now we all women, we got jobs, we got the ministry, we got the church. How do you balance all that and still be able to be the independent gospel artist that you are? Because being an independent gospel artist puts you out there where you working, like you really working hard. And that's not meaning that mainstream is not. It just means as independent, you got to do double.
Ree is working hard. Ree is working harder than us all put together. I don't know. Ree is the hardest working. I love her. It's the hardest working woman in the independent game. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my question is, how do you guys balance that? I want to hear from each of you guys how you're balancing that, the career and the home life at the same time, because I know a lot of women need to hear that.
Wow.
Go ahead, Sean Ray.
I'm going to start with me because I'm older than I think everybody here on this platform, and I have 3 grown folk right now. So how I balance this at the time, because you're right, she has babies, and I met them. But even when I took a pause from traveling, and I used to travel when my babies were small, travel across the world, and you have to have a support system. So my husband and I had to work together, and so it's a lot of balancing that we had to do. When I was working, he had to be there with the children. He did work, and then of course we had to have babysitting going on while he was working. But at the time, my husband and my babies could not travel with me. So then the Lord pulled me out of that for a while, put me on pause so I can stay more local. But I still stayed active. I'm telling you, within the music industry and the gospel industry. And so what we had to do is, because my husband plays, he's my producer. So wherever we went, the children went. And then the children from babies, they were active. There were times that the praise team, if the flu was going around and nobody showed up, guess who was the praise team?
Right.
My children, myself, and my husband.
Right.
since they were younger. So whatever I did, they did. Whatever things I did, they were right there. And all the way up until now with them being grown. So the balance, and guess what? I did not, because the Lord had to teach me some things. You can't save the world and then lose your soul.
Mm-hmm.
So my first ministry was my family, was my husband, my marriage, and my children.
Right.
And the Lord has taught us how to stand and to work and to live this life together. Has things been perfect? No. But I mean, it is, and I mean, being three services, 8 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and 6 p.m. So guess what? I had 2 jobs and was a full-time student in college. Wow. 2 jobs, full-time student in college. But you know what? Nothing came before my family. So I had to learn how to multitask. That made sure that that the house was clean. We all worked together. The house stayed clean. They didn't miss no meals. And I ain't talking about no like McDonald's or Wendy's. I'm talking about I cooked. So we cooked and crock pot. Oh yeah. Sundays all day long. We had to get up at 4:45 a.m. I got up and I made breakfast for my family, fed them. Then I made extra breakfast to take to church because I was a Sunday school teacher and everything else in between. So guess what? By the time from getting up at 4:45 in the morning, and then after that 8 a.m. service, they were hungry again. So look, y'all heard of them crystal bowls. Listen, I've been making them crystal bowls, Greek egg sausage, in a fall thing. In between service, they was happy. My husband and everything, I started bringing breakfast for the praise team, some of the praise team, the pastors, all of them, to feed them my Sunday school class. Between service, going in. But you know what? You have to learn. It's about time management. It's about organizational skills. And listen, if God put you in that platform, then you'll be able to do it. And I'm going to reiterate again. 2 jobs, a full-time online student, and I got my degrees on top of that. And my family, my marriage and my family. Listen, you will learn how to do this and not fail. Because we see too many people that they just let everything that's important flop. And I'm just going to make sure I shine. No, not in Christ. That is out of order. Yeah. That is out of order. Mm-hmm. So if you are in Christ and you are about your Father's business, the Lord, even if you wasn't taught this growing up, the school of the Holy Spirit will teach you how to do things in order. So when things do blow up the way God showed you some blow up, things won't flop in the areas of where it's most important. Okay, y'all can go.
Yeah.
All right.
You're my shero because I don't have you. I mean, what you described, girl, please. Lord have mercy. Listen, it's all about wisdom. Yeah. The balance. And I think definitely you have to have a great support. My child, the only child I ever gave birth to, is fully grown. I am a grandmother. My hands are on my granddaughter at this point. She better learn to sing soprano or something if I got to take her with me. That's just the way, you know what I mean? So I mean, it's wisdom, it's time management. It is not allowing yourself to get so overwhelmed. And I remember that it's a woman that is like a motherly figure because my mother passed 4 years ago. And I called her one day and I said, Mother, God, I need strength because I'm just, I just got to ask God, pray my strength in the Lord. And she says, daughter, why am I praying for your strength? I said, well, what do you mean? She says, because what God ordained you to do, he gave you the strength for. Maybe you're praying for strength for things that you need to clean off your table. And that's when the wisdom kicked in. Sometimes we're doing too much. We're too pulled. And so I think wisdom in terms of choosing what is right for you, letting the Lord lead you. You have to have date night with your husband. My goodness, you got to keep the mortgage paid. So you have to have that balance, and I agree. I can't really add too much more, but basically is wisdom, time management, and balance in a good team. Part of the reason why I'm kind of dealing with management now and hired a new assistant, because I know I can't do everything. I can't be in 3 places at one time. So it's just, but we get it done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Amen.
I want to know how Reed does all this, like, because, and I'm not being funny. Like, she's hardworking, and I think partially, I mean, she's got a supportive husband and you. So I'm looking and saying, Dr. T, I wonder what Dr. T, because Reed is busy. I'm nowhere as near. If I was busy as Reed, I'd probably be pulling every lockout, honey, on this phone call right now. Seriously.
Okay. Well, I love the fact that we have women that are coming from different walks of life. We're talking about different, I don't want to say generations and look like I'm like throwing y'all way over.
Yeah.
Abraham's time.
Yeah, like
That's not what I'm trying to say. But no, but I love the fact because there are many different people that are watching this, and there may be some who have children that are grown and they're getting their time with their husband and getting that time back, empty nest maybe, who are trying to figure out, okay, and they may feel guilty or whatever if maybe, this is supposed to be, we planned this and this was retirement time and all of a sudden God told you to go. What's going on? And
right.
And so or having a grandbaby and what do I do with that in ministry? Well, for me, coming out into this, and like I said at the beginning, I had a huge time of serving. Number one, let me go way back then. I can, as far as music, as far as ministry, all I saw was my mother traveling, singing, wrapping up microphone cords, business meetings on Friday with the group, going over the engagements, going wardrobe, making sure that they had everything that was needed for the group, and they were opening up for Richard Smallwood and this one and that one. I have my uncle, very close uncle of mine, my mother's brother, plays, and his only job was playing for Shirley Caesar, Michael Mathis. So I'm coming up as a young girl, being taught, to don't put my elbows on the table and sitting across, and you got Shirley there, and you got this one there, and I'm not really paying attention to who they are. They, at the time, they didn't mean anything to me. I'm waiting for my food and I'm tired because we done sat through your whole concert, but I come up, from watching my mom, from seeing that. My mother passed away when I was 14 years old. And then I going from there and being in a time where I'm now connected with other people in music. And like I said, watching them from when they had this song that popped in their head to when they're playing the recording, to when it's being mixed and mastered, to when the CD is produced, to the album release, to now they're on the chart, to traveling and seeing how this stuff works. I've had the opportunity of coming out and calling myself an artist. When I say it's not about image and brand, I came out as what I saw other people doing and said, okay, so I got to make sure I got my image looking like this, and I got to make sure that. And I thought that that's what it was, but if you don't have the build up in the inside, you're going to get knocked down, because guess what? That ain't the real you, right? And so for me, it was a lot of serving. It was a lot of those different things. And then we get to now where God allows for me to go. Now, I was finishing up the album and working as a domestic violence advocate, a court advocate, where you could probably have your day planned and say, Mom, I have a meeting at 1:00, so the rest of my day is clear. And someone comes running through that door with a black eye, being chased by whomever, you got to lock the door, call law enforcement, get the police, get a restraining order, get before the judge, to where it was a lot of trying to do that. And I loved the job, but I was just talking on the phone with somebody earlier. When did I know that it was time to go? When the season was ending, when it was a balance between the album was now done, because I would leave work and go to the studio, and my kids were with me, sleeping on the couch. I got pictures of them. My husband would be there. Sometimes my husband works out of town, and it was very tiring, very tiring. I mean, times where I'd be like, I don't want to, because I wasn't getting home until 2-something in the morning, but you got to put something in it. Now, right. What I experience now, thank God, number one, I thank God that I am able to be home. I homeschool my children, so that does free up some time for me. I don't have the 40 hours a day to juggle with putting my mind there and then putting my mind there. I can't do that. It was very hard, and it wasn't peaceful, when you're trying to balance a whole bunch of stuff. I have a very supportive husband who works, and so and he's supportive of what I do. My kids go with me. We make engagements. I mean, in the morning we're hitting the road and going to Georgia, and we make those little vacations. I got a map on the wall where we get the little stickies and say, where have we been? And we talk about it. I get joy in my kids coming with me. That means that I have to teach them at home so that they can be disciplined and not running around all over the place. I remember taking an engagement, and this was a church where they didn't have the sound. They had like a CD player, and my baby was running around and knocked the CD player down. I'm trying to act like I'm in the spirit. How am I going to usher the people in? They staring at the thing on the floor. Trying to move forward. I'm like, really? It's not, so you got to teach your kids. Yeah. And then another thing I have to say is prayer. Oh, yeah. I have to stay in prayer for the things that I don't understand, the things that I don't know how it's going to work out, for the road that God has me on. I have to stay in prayer so I could be mentally okay, because with my kids with me, that responsibility to teach them homeschool is on me. There's not much, I will say this, I don't have much adult time during the day. I'm with kids all the time. And then when we travel, I'm with them. I travel with them because my mom passed away. My dad passed away. I don't really have family out here in Florida. And so I keep my kids close, and I'm not going to just send them somewhere. Right. But on top of that, and I'm sorry for being long with it, on top of that, I'm doing what my mother did with me. I was with her everywhere. I watched all these different things. So when I'm sitting and I'm listening to my kids sing worship songs, or my son is just making a beat in the car, and I'm like, "Ooh, that sounds good." Get some sticks in his hand. Because I come from a musical family too, where it's in you. You either sing, you play something, and if you don't, you got family looking at you like, "What family did you come from?" So really, for what I do, it's really God driven, God given. Trinell is a huge support. I have friends that support me and really have my back. And when we got on, and I'm very direct. I know what I want. And you got to have people around that know you. I don't have people around that's really going to get their feelings hurt super easy. So thank you, because when you've come up and you've been through a lot, then you don't tolerate a whole bunch of mess when God has given you an assignment. So I guess that's my lasting thing, is what you got to do, and you really don't have room for a whole bunch of other stuff, and you just do it. Right.
She's telling the truth, y'all.
Yes.
You gotta have some thick skin with Ree. I know. All right, ladies. Well, that is our time. I knew it was gonna go by fast. I got like 6 questions that we didn't even touch on.
Wow.
It's all right. That's why I skipped around a little bit, because I definitely wanted to get some of your take on some of the other topics that we were going over. Again, I appreciate each and every one of you guys for coming on and taking this hour with me to be here on Late Night with Dr. Trinell. And I want to give you a second to kind of let everybody know how to find you. Let us know if you got something coming up that you need some support, want some support. Make sure you mention that. And we can go ahead and start with you, Miss Shawn Ray.
I want to first say thank you, Dr. Trinell, Jerry Royce, and the whole Positive Power family. Thank you for thinking of me and inviting me onto your wonderful show. I love this dialogue that we had this evening, and I pray that people were touched for what they heard, and that God will continue to bless you and expand your territory, Dr. Trinell, and as well as Ree and Prophetess Cherry, Pastor Prophetess Cherry, and
you better sit down.
Lord Jesus.
Sit down.
Yes.
That good, baby. You better sit down. Oh gosh. This is a woman's work.
Yes.
Oh man. Okay. I think Miss Sean Ray paused.
Get that off my head.
We're gonna come back to you, Miss Sean Ray, and we're gonna go ahead to Pastor Cherry.
Okay. I want to thank you. Thank you so much for having me up here. I really do appreciate it, Dr. T. It's finally nice to talk to you kind of face to face too, right? I love that.
Yeah.
I enjoyed my sister that keeps claiming that she's so much older than us, right? That's my Shiro. I love her. And shout out to Ree. I love you. And you can find me on Facebook, Natasha Cherry. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter. Is Twitter still like relevant? I don't know, but I'm still up there. All right. So I do have an event coming up July the 27th, which Ree will be a part of it. Special guest is Marvin Sapp, Jermaine Dolly, Ree, Just Tammy, and yours truly, Natasha Cherry. And we will be in the city of Allentown, Pennsylvania. And it's coming along. It is coming along. It has been a lot of work, but I am excited. And the tickets are on sale right now. And then anybody that wants tickets, you can go to www.millersymphonyhall.org and you can order tickets, find your seating. But anyway, I'm so blessed and I can't wait to meet you guys in like face to you. And my sister, God bless you. You had so much wisdom, and you were who? Yes. And I just had a great time up here. I really, really did.
Amen. Sean Ray, I'm gonna go back to you real quick just so you can finish up because you cut out on us a little bit.
Okay, I'm sorry. So they can find me on all platforms, on all social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I have my own website, Sean Ray, www.seanrayshariprice.com. I'm trying to make it quick. I'm going to see y'all on Friday. Reach you now. I'm going to come see y'all Friday. And I have several events coming up. Please look on my Facebook page. But the next one coming up is May 20th, my own up-and-close personal concert here downtown, 222 Peter Street, Atlanta, Georgia, downtown Georgia. And we'll talk later.
Amen. Amen. There we go. All right, Reed.
Friday. What's happening Friday?
You have an event Friday. Lord Jesus. She don't remember, y'all. She don't be knowing.
What is that?
She don't know.
Aren't you going to Georgia in the morning?
Conference, Reed.
Aren't you leaving for Georgia in the morning?
This is where the balance comes in.
Yes.
Her schedule.
Okay. So yes, Friday. Yeah. So you could find me on my handle is Serela Music, SERELA Music. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I was gonna say, talking about balance, my husband actually just walked in the door. I haven't seen him in about a week, maybe two.
Oh,
hurry up and
okay.
get off of here then.
Better hurry up then.
My husband just walked through the door. Dinner is on the stove. That's balance. Knowing he's coming home, making sure the house is clean.
Yes.
Going to make a dash to make sure the house is clean. Dinner's on the stove. All type of stuff. It look immaculate. I don't care if I was in my pajamas all day and didn't take a shower. Balance means that when he comes home, he comes home. Ain't that right, y'all?
Yes.
That's
wisdom. Yeah.
So dinner is on the stove. So as soon as I take these headphones off, it's family time. His birthday is May 5th. So is my daughter, my 17-year-old daughter. Their birthday is on May 5th. So balance means don't take no dates on their birthdays. That means time. That means it's all about them and they don't want to hear about your next project or where you trying to go, and all that other stuff. Balance. So anyway, SerelaMusic.com or Tata Chanel, and she'll get you all that information. Fill my calendar. I'm looking forward to coming to see you.
It's already filled.
Wherever you are.
Right.
I'm looking forward to coming to see you. And that's really it. We're all Kingdom Women, and that's what I love, the fact that we've been all on here. And it ain't competition. Ain't nobody got time for that foolishness.
Nope.
We all standing in our lane.
That's right.
And it's kingdom. It's kingdom and it's sisterhood. So anybody that's watching and that wants to get into this thing, you better pay attention, as my sisters have said. If you're doing this, you're coming into kingdom. You're not coming into stardom and all this other dumb stuff.
Yes.
You're coming into kingdom.
Yes.
Yes.
That's what you need to do.
Can I say one thing?
Go ahead.
You can't.
I want to say one thing. Thank you, Ree. Listen, if y'all don't remember anything else that I said, remember this: we are all on the same battlefield.
That's
So,
right.
Yes.
We don't have room in ministry to sit there and feel insecure or to get jealous or anything like that. Listen, God gave us all our unique individual gifts.
That's right.
And He has specific audiences for all of us, specific platforms for all of us. So don't sit there and get to the point where this one sings better than me or this one. No, we're all on the same battlefield. And guess what?
Yeah.
It's about increasing the kingdom of God, and that's what we're here to do.
Praise God.
That's right. That's
That's
it. That's the only thing.
Hey,
That's it.
hey, I got one thing to say. Can I be in the singing kingdom? Because
No,
we don't let
no,
me in.
no,
We won't let She
No.
made me stay in the backside. No? Okay.
Well, listen. We're gonna give you some rockers. We'll give you some rockers.
I can do that.
Yeah, just come down with a microphone and let the rocks cry out. Don't you dare. Don't you dare. Don't you dare.
All right, ladies. I'm going to mute you, Bree. Look,
You
ladies.
can't mute nobody. You just said that.
Oh my gosh. All right, ladies, I've had a blast. I thank you all for coming on again. I love you all. Can't wait to see you guys.
Love you back.
So I can give you some hugs and all that. So Ree, yeah, I see you tomorrow. But I love you guys.
You driving.
I'll see y'all tomorrow too, ladies. I'll see y'all.
Yes. Make sure even after this video that you're sharing this and liking it, because it's been so much good conversation that comes out of this. We definitely want to get the numbers up and want people to really come in and listen to this platform we got going on. You guys definitely just gave them a lot to think about, a lot to chew on. So definitely do that. I appreciate you guys. This is Late Night with Dr. T. I am your host, Dr. Chanel Stewart, and I'll see you again on Thursday next week at 8.
And I'm taking over the show on Thursday. I'm taking over the show next week.
We're not having a show next Thursday. Actually, we're going to do a replay next Thursday. So if you did not catch this show, you'll see the replay and our show from last week. We'll be back May 17th, and I got a special guest for you guys. Carlton McConnell knows who I'll talk about. I'm not going to tell you guys yet, but just know the truth may be involved. So you guys watch out for that, all right? We'll see you guys next week.
God bless. Love you all.
God bless you.
God bless you.
God bless you guys. Thank you, Chanel. I'll see y'all tomorrow.
Love you.
Love you.
All right. God bless you.
Julius Live Worldwide Podcast.
You're not going to want to miss this, folks.
Carlton McConnell and Round the Clock Entertainment, in association with Tag Entertainment and the nationally syndicated radio show, The New Artist Profile, present the Rhythm of Gospel Awards Hall of Fame Indie Artist Showcase, June 22nd, 2018, beginning at 10:30 a.m. at the luxurious Hilton Hotel, 45 West Orchard Park Drive, Greenville, South Carolina. This event is open to independent gospel recording artists looking to expand and expose your music ministry. With a who's who list of radio, media, and industry professionals in attendance, this is definitely the event you will want to be a part of. We will also be celebrating the induction of CEO Carlton McConnell into the Rhythm of Gospel Hall of Fame for over 35 years of service in the gospel music industry. This event will be hosted by none other than Tony Deona Radio, host of the New Artist Profile, award-winning syndicated radio broadcast. For more information, email Round the Clock Entertainment at roundtheclock.cm@gmail.com or phone 927-834-5936. We want to see you there.
Welcome to my journey right here on Music Vision Television. We are all a result of our life journeys. You can say to yourself, the sum of who I am is a result of my journey. Each episode will guide, inspire, and encourage you through your own personal journey as members of the independent artist industry. Sit down to share how they are making it through life's challenges. Join us on my journey with Paula G, right here on Music Vision Television.
Hey, it's your girl Patrice Jackson, aka Miss Savvy Pro, and you're listening to the Christian Party Line Friday nights on Jerry Royce Live.
Hi, I'm Nina Taylor, and here is your gospel news. Worship leader, recording artist, songwriter, and producer Israel Houghton became involved full-time in worship ministry in 1989. From the start, he looked to overcome cultural and denominational barriers. With this idea in mind, Israel formed New Breed Ministries in 1995. It was a group of world-class musicians and singers. Touring extensively brought the ministry's powerful and diverse sound to churches around the U.S. While Israel's two 1997 releases, Whisper It Loud and Way of the World, kicked off his recording career. New Season from 2001, Real in 2002, then Live from Another Level in 2004, Alive in South Africa 2005, which featured a performance in Cape Town, South Africa in front of 8,000 people. The London Sessions was his album in 2010. Then Houghton and his group continued to document their travels around the world with the successful covered Alive in Asia released in 2015. Isabel Davis, pastor and contemporary Christian recording artist out of New Orleans, Louisiana. Born and raised in San Antonio, Texas, she started her singing career as a toddler. A few years later, she became the center's worship pastor. She and her husband moved to New Orleans, where she joined City of Love. Within 5 years, she was named the church's worship pastor, and it was around that time she released her successful single, The Call. Isabel Davis voted this year New Artist of the Year by the Stellar Gospel Music Awards. Oprah Winfrey Network announced the second season of their hit docu-series Black Love is coming back this May. The series highlights love stories from the Black community. It debuted last fall to 1.2 million viewers around the world, becoming OWN's most watched unscripted series debut in the network history. What is a boycott? It's defined as an act of voluntary and intentional abstention from using, buying, or dealing with a person, organization, or country as an expression of protest, usually for social, political, or environmental reasons. Sometimes a boycott can be formed from consumer activism, sometimes called moral purchasing. Basically, the way I put it, don't go, don't use, and don't buy. In 1953, the Baton Rouge boycott occurred. This was the first black bus boycott in America. That summer, the African American community of Baton Rouge set the tone of the modern civil rights movement. Years before, the Supreme Court's landmark Brown versus the Board of Education and the significant protests of the Montgomery bus boycott led by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Rosa Parks. Leaders of the Baton Rouge black community stood up for racial equality. In March of 1953, black leaders in Baton Rouge were successful in having City Council pass Ordinance 222, which permitted for blacks to be seated on any public transportation on a first-come, first-served basis. Boycott against the company Safeway until it employed African Americans. That was in 1941. One of the earliest examples was a boycott in England of the sugar produced by slaves. In 1791, after Parliament refused to abolish slavery, thousands of pamphlets were printed encouraging not to buy sugar. Was the boycott successful? Yes, it was. And of course, first there was Joanne Robinson, a civil rights activist, made African Americans aware as they represented 75% of the Montgomery Bus Company's clientele, and she organized the Monday boycott whereby all African Americans refused to ride buses. The boycott continued another year. Was it successful? Yes, it was. On December 20th, 1956, laws requiring segregated buses were declared unconstitutional in Montgomery and across the United States. Here's your Billboard Top 10 Gospel Songs in the Country. Number 10, Ernest Pugh, Survive. Number 9, Travis Green, You Waited. Number 8, Tamela Mann, Through It All, featuring Timberland. Number 7, J.J. Harrison and Youthful Praise, No Reason to Fear. Number 6, William Murphy, Everlasting God. Number 5, Jermaine Dolly, Serve. Number 4, Jacqueline Carr, You Will Win. Number 3, Todd Delaney, Your Great Name. BB Winans has the number 2 gospel song this week with He Promised Me. And number 1, once again for 5 weeks, Corinne Hawthorne with Won't He Do It. Well, that's your Billboard Top 10 Songs in the Country, your definition and examples of successful boycotts, and your gospel news. I'm Nina Taylor. let's get back to more great gospel music on this great station.
Hi, this is Lady T, urban gospel artist from Jackson, Mississippi. You're listening to Positive Power XXI Christian Radio on Spreaker Radio and Facebook Live. So keep it locked.
I'm Larry W. Robinson, and this is your Gospel Entertainment News Report, brought to you this week by GospelUpdates.com, the Gospel Updates mobile app, as well as the Gospel Updates e-magazine.
On the broadcast today, one of my favorites, Stephen Anderson. He has a new single. I wanted to invite him on the broadcast to tell you all about it. Stephen Anderson, welcome back to Gospel Updates.
Hey, Larry W. Robinson. Thank you for having me on the show today.
It's always a pleasure. So you got a new project, got a new single. Tell our listening audience all about it.
Yes, I have a new project out called Liberation, in session part 1, and it's my new music on there, all about the evolution and where God has taken me and what he's doing right now, what he's saying in this season musically.
All right, so tell us about this hot new single you have.
How excellent, Psalms 8 quotes the scripture, O Lord, our Lord, how excellent is thy name in all the earth, for you have set your glory above the heavens. And so it's just a song of worship to God, speaking of his splendor and his greatness, and talking about how powerful he is. And so, and just it's just a good praise song for people to sing on their praise team, or if you're singing while you cleaning the house. So it's just one of those songs to reach everybody.
Gotcha. How excellent, the latest single from Stephen Anderson, available at all digital download stations.
This has been Gospel Updates. I'm your host, Larry W. Robinson. Download the Gospel Updates official mobile app by going to Gospel Updates in your app store, as well as get your hands on a copy of the latest Gospel Updates e-magazine by going to the all-new GospelUpdates.com. That's GospelUpdates.com. Visit today, GospelUpdates.com.
You are listening to Jerry Royce Live Worldwide Podcast.